Welcome to The Shield, your all-access pass to everything Spartan football. Each week we bring you inside the huddle, behind the stats, and onto the field with the Rochester Mayo Spartans. From game highlights and player spotlights to in-depth interviews and strategic breakdowns, we celebrate the grit, pride, and tradition that defines Spartan football. This isn't just about touchdowns, it's about heart, hustle, and the legacy we defend every Friday night. Strength, pride, purpose. This is The Shield.
Hello and welcome to this episode of The Shield. This is episode number 3 into this season, a little Chaska recap, as well as looking forward to our first home game against St. Thomas. As always, we start off the show with thanking the people who make the show possible, our great sponsors. And this week, we do not have a sponsor on the show. So the one thing we're going to talk about is if you're interested in that, how you can get a hold of us. We'll have our Gmail address out there. So please send us an email, talk to Coach Holcomb, talk to anybody in the program. If you're interested in being a business that would like to sponsor the show, we'd love to have the support. Or else if you would just like to help out and want to give to our For Giving link, we'll put that out there on the pages on the screen as well. So please give any way you can. The program appreciates it. It allows us to continue to keep doing stuff like this. So we're going to jump right into the Chaska recap, and as one of the things we talked about with kind of our new format here of the Shield, one of the things we said in the beginning of the season is we also want to try to introduce more people in the program. We want to try and get as many people involved, outside of myself or Coach Holcomb, so people kind of start to learn. And thankfully, we had assistant coach here, varsity coach Nick Hagen, step in for Coach Holcomb this week as he had some other duties to tend to. So, Coach Hagen, thanks for stepping in. We appreciate having you on the Shield.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Well, we're going to start out talking a little bit about Chaska. And I've always said it's never fun to talk about a loss, kind of having to recap it, whether it's with players or with coaches. But we got to kind of go through Chaska a little bit. And my first question is typically after a loss, one of the things from a coaching standpoint is, what do we say? You got the huddle right after the game. What do we talk about? How do we get the boys to understand, that may not be the end of the world, but, how we get them refocused and moving on. So one of the things that Coach Holcomb and I talked about right after the game was, better to have a game like this for your first one than a game like this for your last one. Yeah. So what are some things you guys talked to the boys about, whether it was right after the game, in the locker room, bus ride, and since then?
It's a humbling thing. Sometimes things don't work out exactly how we want them to or how we expected them to. But it's never a bad thing. Sometimes you have to get punched in the mouth to see how strong you actually are. And so we're kind of taking that mentality towards it. We learned a lot of things we got to fix. And then we had a lot of some underclassmen that stepped up and we figured out how great they are. So we figured out we can utilize them maybe a little bit more in our offense and our defense and prepare better for next week. What's next?
Yeah, it's a great way to look at it. One of the things, too, when you think about, a game and from a coaching standpoint, when you guys look at it, you always say, okay, is it something that team was doing, that made them successful, or was it maybe something that we were not doing or that, some mistakes we were having? So from, your perspective, other coaches, as you guys have watched the film back and kind of looked at it, how would you say that transpired through the game? Was Chaska doing some things that could give you guys some fits, or was it, hey, we, kind of made some mistakes as well, and then that was causing some problems?
Yeah, Chaska's a great team. They're well coached. You can tell it's a great group down up there that we went and saw, but I think we definitely beat ourselves that game. A lot of little mistakes, early season stuff. It's easy to fix. We just got to get on top of the kids. Physicality was there. We just have to get guys going the right directions, making the right decisions.
You talked about some people stepping up and, and having, some key plays and different kinds of things. One of the things I know we talked about was trying to platoon as much as possible, offense, defense, 11 offensively, 11 defensively. And as you kind of get into the flow of the game, sometimes that's easier said than done. You just kind of get into it and just say, hey, this is what happens. But you talked about some of the younger kids, and I would expect that now that they've kind of said, hey, this is something that, we are ready and prepared for, that gives the coaching staff more confidence to say, hey, I think we are maybe a little bit deeper than maybe even what we thought going into it.
Absolutely. We have a lot of really, really talented kids, and they just need to be given the opportunity to step up and get comfortable in those positions, and I guarantee they will show up on game days. We got a lot of gamers on that team. So
good. It's excited to see that. One of the ones, and I know it wasn't he was in the role. He was going to be, the kicker throughout the season, but pretty spectacular for a freshman, I'm assuming he's probably 14, maybe 15 by now, but, for a freshman in Miles to make some of those kicks, when he really needed to. Talk a little bit about, saw the boys pretty excited on the sidelines and, really pumping him up. But what was that like, just to kind of be down there and see him making those field goals?
It was amazing. I mean, for a ninth grader to be so composed and to come out there and not bat an eye in those situations was super impressive. I mean, Miles is a great kid. You can just tell by the first time you meet him, this the way he acts, the way he carries himself. He's a very, very great kid, and he showed up for us. It's just a great weapon that we have.
Yeah, and for the years to come, that's it's going to be awesome to know that. Even with the loss, every game you can take away some positives, and you can see some stuff on film, whether it's players or plays or things that you're like, hey, we can build on this. This is something that went well that game. I know it's hard to remember every play and everything, but off the top of your mind, what are some things that you can think of as a coach that said, hey, this is something we can build off of. This is something that we can get better, that we saw that we really liked, and we can now use that going into the future?
We had some big explosive plays from our receivers. We have some really talented kids out there. Our defense was super stout. I think defense wins championships. Everyone knows that saying. I think that's going to be the case this year. That's our plan, is to go win a championship, and that defense will be what carries us there. Big plays. We had a sophomore tailback that stepped up huge. Xavier Adams stepped up huge. He looks like the real deal. So he's going to be one of those kids we're going to have to utilize more coming forward in the offensive game. And otherwise, we just got to kind of get back to the basics with some stuff, I think, and play some hard-nosed football.
Now you're moving into that first home game. So you got film out, boys started watching it, those kinds of things. What are some of the first things you guys are going to do at practice tomorrow and Monday to say, hey, what's done is done, now we really got to lock in and move forward this week?
I mean, I think the boys already know we need to move on. Like, they understand the situation, what happened, and we've all had a few days to digest it, and we are focused on St. Thomas now.
Well, like I said, it's no way anybody wanted to start, whether it's, you're a fan, a coach, a parent, whatever it was. It wasn't how any of us envisioned the start, but like I think everybody has said, it's whether it was a wake-up call or whatever it might be, it was nice to at least have it happen week 1 instead of, week 12 or 13. So, all right, well, stay tuned. Next on the Shield, we are going to have a few of the varsity players joining us. We're going to have senior leader John Muller, and he brought with him wide receiver Jacob Canfield, as well as offensive lineman
Patrick Kessler.
Thank you. So we're going to have the three of them coming up next here on the Shield.
Chaska in a 3-man front, 4 linebackers, motion for Mayo. Quick little underneath screen is going to be busting loose. Down inside the 30, down to the 26. Nice little catch and scamper.
All right, welcome back to the third episode of The Shield. I'm your host, Rob Cawthorn, and I am now joined by some of the Mayo varsity football players. And as we explained to you in our preseason show, the format was going to be a little bit different this year. We were going to have one of our senior leaders kind of invite a few of their teammates or underclassmen to the show, and that way we get to meet as many possible players for the Spartans. So kicking off this week was John Muller decided to step up and take the leadoff position for us. So, John, I'm going to let you do the introductions of the two guys that you brought with you tonight.
All right, so my name is John Muller. I'm a senior. This is Patrick Hessler. He's a sophomore. And Jacob Canfield. He's a senior.
Awesome. Well, guys, thanks for joining us. Really appreciate you being here. So, unfortunately, we got to talk about Chaska. You know, it wasn't the way any of us wanted to start. We didn't want the way the season to go. But talk to me a little bit about, for each of you, what was it like right after that game?
Well, I mean, kind of hit the nail on the head. It sucks. You know, we were coming into 5A. I think we did end up getting a little bit too big of a head. You know, just kind of coming back, and we kind of thought we were hot stuff. Did good in Winona, but that was definitely a wake up call. And the coaches definitely said that over and over. But it really started to set in the locker room and on the way home. Everyone's frustrated. It's quiet. Bus ride home was pretty quiet, and as soon as the film dropped, everyone on the bus ride was watching the film home, at least on our bus. And so that was good to know that people weren't just mad about it, but they were actually watching the plays, and we were doing our own analysis before the coaches put out their notes. So it was good to see people besides myself wanting to get better after that loss and not just taking it hard and wanting to get better.
Yeah, for sure. So I think it's not just one person that was doing, that had that loss for us. I think all of us had our mental mistakes. We had guys going both ways, so guys are tired. Blocking wasn't awesome. Mental mistakes we had, I think, 6 plays in a row at the start that were incorrect. Either someone didn't block their correct guy or someone didn't block at all. But I think after that game, I think that we all realized that even though we were in 6A last year, that 5A is still a tough competition for us, and that it's not going to be a breeze in the park. So
yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think a lot of the guys coming into that thinking that was going to be an easy game for us, and I think we were all just really ahead of ourselves thinking this is it, back down to 5A, coming back into it's going to be light. That was really a really big wake-up call. And, just learning on from that, always be ready, always be game planned for it, and never think you're going to go into it destined to win.
Yeah, for sure. Next question. So after a loss, like some of you guys have said, you kind of process it differently. You start watching film, you do different things. For each of you, what are some things that, you take away from a loss? What are some things you learn, not necessarily just about on the field, but, a little bit about yourself, talking about there's a lot of people who aren't happy. There's a lot of people who are upset. So how do you collectively get everybody refocused, getting back together, saying, one of the things I told Coach Holcomb is, it's better to be the first one than the last one, So how do you kind of get everybody back together? What are some of the things that you guys do individually to get your head on right and get focused for practice tomorrow on Monday?
Well, I think one thing that needs to be said is that game was a perfect example of where the offensive line wins and loses games for teams. We did not do well. We were unfocused. We were working hard, but our focus was not going into the right plays. We were running plays wrong, going the wrong way. We had an offside. It was super sloppy game, terrible. And I'm going to take that one on myself as a captain in the O-line because we clearly didn't do enough chalk talk, enough film on our own. And I think this next week, we're going to have to be perfect. Home opener against St. Thomas, that's a big game. We have to win that game. And that all comes down to what we do this next week as an offensive line to regroup everyone else, because I do not think that our receivers, quarterbacks, running backs, and our defense got the best show because we couldn't do our job to let them succeed.
Yeah, kind of like what you said, Rob. It's better than the first and the last. We still have 7 more to go. So I think instead of us focusing on, Chaska right now, I think we have to let that game go, and we can still go 7-1. So I think that's a big thing ahead of us. I think wide receivers, I think we did a really good job of getting our routes and open and stuff like that. But I think a huge part that we could have helped with was blocking. Late in the third and fourth quarter, our blocks just got really sloppy and let guys go. So I think that as well. Like John said, kind of O-line, getting Isaac, kind of letting him have time. yeah, I think that's just a big thing for us.
Kind of going off of what Jacob said here, I think we just need to bring more to practice, really bring more energy into it and prepare more. I think this weekend practice was kind of sloppy all week. Coaches said it, players noticed it. It was just kind of all over the place. So I think we just need to screw our heads back on here at practice and put it back together.
Awesome. Well, John, you had kind of brought up St. Thomas, so let's put Chaska to rest and now move on to St. Thomas. So, yeah, it's the home opener. It's going to be an electric environment. You guys know that. There's a lot of cool things that, we're trying to do as far as from crowd standpoint for you guys, those kinds of things. So it's going to be an awesome, awesome environment. But with that comes distractions, comes first game and those different kinds of things at home. So tell me a little bit about some of the things you guys think that are going to be important this week for you to do, whether it's as leaders, as seniors, or whatever, to make sure that the whole team knows that, hey, yeah, it's our home opener, but, we got the most important thing is we come away Friday night with that victory.
I think one thing that we need to think about as a team throughout the week is that it's just another game. Yes, it's a home opener. Yes, it's going to be one of the toughest teams we face in the regular season. But we really just need to keep our heads straight and think this is just another game. Practice like we need to practice for playoffs, because it doesn't really matter where we are right now. Where it matters is at the end of the regular season going into playoffs, because everyone gets a shot at playoffs. It's just that's your chance. So I think we just need to take this week as an opportunity to set ourselves straight, like Pat was saying earlier, and just take this as another week and see what we can do from there.
Yeah, I think kind of piggybacking off John and what Pat said, practice last week was kind of slow. I think we should get it more tempered up today or this week. Kind of St. Thomas, their defense is kind of just like Chaska's. So, I mean, going from Chaska to St. Thomas, just kind of be looking at the same thing, seeing what we did and didn't do good on, as in what we did for Chaska, and hopefully we can do better going up forward.
Going into this St. Thomas game, since we played them in Winona doing the scrimmages, we all thought they were a pretty easy team at Winona, but we just can't go into it thinking it's going to be an easy win. They got more players that we didn't realize. A lot of players not on the depth chart yet, and they're bringing those guys up. So I think it's going to be a real challenge going into St. Thomas.
Yeah, I talked, one of my next questions was about Winona. You guys got to scrimmage them a little bit, but it's hard to tell. Like you said, summertime, kids might be vacations, baseball, other sports, whatever it might be. So who knows who was down there. But from watching, them on film a little bit and watching that game at TCO, I mean, what are some things that you guys that stood out about St. Thomas?
Well, I think one thing, they're a very physical team. Obviously, being a military academy, they didn't have some guys that we'd see in 5 and 6A that would be just absolute monsters. They're all very athletic. They're all very fit, super well coached. But one thing that stood out among all the other teams there was how much they talked on the field. They were chirpy, and we hadn't really seen a team like that since 6A, and it was good to kind of get that fire back, per se. So I think this is going to be a really exciting week because we've seen each other. Like Jacob was saying, they run a pretty similar defense to Chaska. They've got the guys to be really good. And so we just need to be super focused, super disciplined, and we need to play our game and not just let them walk over us with their talk.
For a person who likes to talk, I think I got to keep my head on it as well. And I think if we stay away from that talking and just play how Mayo football is meant to be played, I think that we will have a good time making them stressed, getting them to get in their heads. Hopefully we can come home and score on the first drive and hopefully make them a little nervous.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah, I think St. Thomas is coming into this game very well disciplined, very well coached. I think they got a lot of guys. A lot of great players, a lot of athletic players. I think it's going to be a tough one. But hopefully, I think we're coming up with a dub here.
Nice. Like to hear it. So, all right. So now we're going to get to try to know Pat, John, and Jacob a little bit better. I got 10 questions here for you guys. So, John, I'll just have you hold it. If you want to then just go either direction and get the answer from Pat and Jacob, that would be great. So, first one for you guys. Do you listen to your own hype songs pregame, or are you a locker room playlist guy?
Both. I listen to my own music on the bus. I listen to the speaker in the locker room.
I listen to whatever's playing on the speaker.
Yeah, I listen to whatever they got going on in the locker room.
Okay. If you could have dinner with any pro athlete, past or present, who would it be and why?
That's tough. I'm gonna go Kobe Bryant. I just kind of want to see his work ethic, what makes him tick. I think that'd be really interesting.
Probably Connor McDavid. Probably because maybe he can give you some tips on being faster.
I'm going to go Trent Williams because he's a great left tackle, and I think he could give me a lot of tips.
Awesome. All right, interesting question here. Which teammate would survive a zombie apocalypse the longest, and why?
I'm going to go myself. I'm going to be honest. Not to be selfish, but I don't know. I think I got the skills to outlast them,
Wow. Probably Loomis, just because he just does stuff outdoors. And I can just see him. I don't know. I could see him surviving long.
Yeah, I was going to say Loomis as well. I could see him throwing around a few zombies.
Awesome. Okay. What is one pregame ritual or superstition you never skip?
Oh, definitely the prayer before the game.
I do this for all three sports that I play. I always go left. So I put my right cleat on first, skate, whatever it is, and then my left, and then I tie my left, and then my right.
Nice. Cool. Very cool.
I was going to say the pregame prayer as well.
Okay. Nice. All right. Another interesting. What movie character in any movie, any genre, whatever you want it to be, would you pick that resembles your playing style?
I'm gonna go Disney's Tarzan.
Okay.
He's like kind of just a chiller off the field, super nice to Jane and all the other gorillas, and then I forgot the British guy's name, but like once he started like fighting, he's kind of a beast. So I think that's definitely me on and off the field. Very chill off the field.
I'm trying to think of some hockey movie that like. What are the movie brothers from?
Oh, the Hanson brothers?
Yeah, probably the Hanson brothers, one of those guys. Okay. Just like to go around and hit people.
I don't know what the movie's called, but it's with Paul Walker, and there's like some big fat dumb lineman on it, and he's a pretty stupid guy, I'd say. That's probably.
We'll have to figure that Paul Walker with it in a football movie. Huh, I'm not quite sure what one that one would be. Oh, okay. Oh, Varsity Blues. Varsity Blues. You're thinking of, his pig's name's Bacon. Billy Bob. Billy Bob. You're thinking of Billy Bob. Yes. All right. I love it. All right. What's the most memorable moment you've had on the field so far in your football career? Doesn't have to be Mayo or whatever. Just since you've strapped the pads on as a young kid, what's the most memorable moment so far?
Ooh, I think two from the same game. Number one, Max Durgan's interception last year. That's like a highlight. He still talks about it, and it's hanging everywhere in his house. And the second one is winning the Centennial game last year. That was a huge, huge thing. I remember the bus ride home being super hype, going in with an upset. So that's my biggest memory.
I would say probably 8th grade after our last game, going undefeated. That was probably a great last game to end it off on.
Nice.
I have two as well. I think my first one would be our home opener against Burnsville last year, scoring my first varsity touchdown. And then my second one was when we won that game in STMA. That was very memorable.
That was
I
nice.
liked that a lot.
Yep. All right, for all three of you, should be a pretty easy and simple, fast one. What is your favorite social media platform?
Instagram.
TikTok.
Spotify.
Okay. Do you have a favorite pregame snack?
Peanut butter and honey sandwich.
Probably Twix.
Probably pizza Lunchable.
Okay. This one's, I like this one. This is going to be a good answer. Which coach talks the longest after practice?
Gunner.
Gunner for sure.
Yeah, definitely Gunner.
He takes it. All right, last one. What show or series are you currently watching?
Ooh, I guess I'm almost done with it, but Blue Mountain State.
I'm rewatching Grey's Anatomy.
I just started watching Dexter.
Okay, sweet. All right, well, for Pat and John and Jacob, guys, thanks for coming on to the Shield. We appreciate you guys being here. Best of luck against St. Thomas this week. Feel really great about the home opener. I think you guys are going to get it done. Let's go get a W on Friday. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Yep. Stay tuned. We'll be right back on the Shield.
7.4 seconds. This is the game. Far side hash. Kicking from the 24-yard line. It's up. And it is good. Ties the game.
All right, welcome back to the Shield. I want to thank the three players, Pat, John, and Jacob, all for stopping by and talking with us about their experiences in Chaska Week 1 and what they're looking forward to getting ready for St. Thomas Week 2. So back with us now is assistant varsity coach Nick Hagen. Coach, want to jump into St. Thomas here a little bit and talk about, what they bring, and we'll kind of get into that just a little bit. But first and foremost, want to talk about first home game. So you're going to have, crowd's going to be there. There's going to be all this electricity around, some different sounds and songs and things going on for the boys and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, we need to win a football game. So talk a little bit about, we talked earlier about some of the first things you guys are going to do, but how do you talk to them about staying locked into the football game and maybe not getting so much caught up on the excitement of playing at home?
I don't know if there's much that needs to be said to this group. They know what they're there for. They're professionals. On game day, they show up and it's all business. So they know they're locked in on game days. The locker room is super focused. I know you talked about on the first show about how they all showed up for the bus for the scrimmage and they were there 20 minutes early. And it's just, this group is just like that. They just show up and they're ready to go. So they know what to prepare for.
That's awesome. That's awesome. The other kind of ancillary thing that I would like to talk about, and I mean, I know you know him, I know Bodie knows him as well, but it's one of St. Thomas's assistant coach, defensive coordinator, Joe Tees. So Joe played for Mayo, went to Mayo, and happens to be the father of Miles, who we were talking about earlier, the kicker for the Spartans. So kind of unique. I've had the opportunity to coach Joe playing, and I know he's super competitive in that, and I seen him as a coach. I know he's super competitive with that, and I've seen him as a dad, and so it's going to be kind of an interesting dynamic for him to kind of be on that opposite sideline for the first time in his career. What do you, I mean, you're a dad, I'm a dad, what do you think about kind of how all that plays in?
I think it'll be great. I think it'll be fun, and it'll be a fun competition, and we'll definitely, be friends after the game again, but during the game, it's going to be a battle and everything, and funny story about Joe Tees. He coached my senior year. I graduated from Mayo in 2004.
Okay.
And the hardest I was hit my senior season was by Joe Tees. He put a helmet and shoulder pads on for one practice and played running back. And I played defensive end. He came around the end and almost knocked my helmet off. It was ridiculous. So
yeah,
he's a competitor for sure.
Yeah, he's very, very competitive. And like I said, he was fun to coach. You never had to worry about him being mentally ready for the game or into the game. So, but it'll be fun to see Coach Tees on the sidelines. And I already told him he was at the game, on Chaska game, and I told him, I said that he's going to be doing a pregame interview with me. So I just had to prep him a little bit for that.
Perfect.
All right, so a little bit of St. Thomas, got to see them on their game a little bit, that they played at TCO versus Cretin-Durham Hall, and we saw them down in Winona, so kind of but we knew in Winona maybe not everybody was there. Some of their key guys might not have been there. So far from film, couple things jumped out to me is just one, I mean, they are, you kind of model your coach. And from a defensive side of the ball, I mean, they rally to their tackles. They get after it, just like Joe did, and they play that kind of hard way. And then offensively, pretty special running back that had some, nice carries and stuff against Creighton. What, from a coaching standpoint, what's jumped out to you about St. Thomas?
Yeah, they are a fast-moving team. You can tell they're well-coached also, and they have depth. They rotate guys in well, so they have many guys for many positions by the looks of it, so they'll be able to stay fresh out there. So we got to just move faster and play better than them,
We all talk about the three phases of the games. We're fortunate, like we mentioned, to have some kicking and some good punting and those kinds of things. Didn't necessarily have too much to see from a special team standpoint, but have you guys noticed anything as far as their kicking game or anything special team-wise?
Yeah, their kicker is a phenomenal kicker for sure. He can put it out of the back of the end zone. He can place it on the 5-yard line. They have a great weapon in him for sure, and we got a plan for that.
Yeah, that really helps, especially if you're having to go on those 80-yard drives. Defensively, it seems to kind of be another odd front team, if I saw things correctly on film. So once again, going to see a lot of those teams. That's kind of what Chaska did. What are some things offensively? Not giving away game plans or anything like that, but how? What are some things you guys are looking to maybe attack when it comes to St. Thomas?
We just got to, they're a fast team. We're a fast team. So we're just planning on getting to our spots and setting up our plays and beating them with our speed and our skills. And our offensive line definitely needs to step up this week and get to their blocks. And it all starts with them. So
I agree. And I think most coaches would agree. So last thing in regards to St. Thomas here, Coach, when you're trying to come off after a loss and you're going against another highly ranked opponent, very good opponent, sometimes you almost get like too overhyped or you think you put too much importance on maybe some things that might not need to be important, such as a bad play or, maybe even a turnover, those different kinds of things. Talk a little bit, you've mentioned the kind of the dynamics of this team numerous times about how they're built and everything. Talk a little bit about what you guys have seen so far, even just one game in, about how this team responds to those sudden changes in the game and how they're handling that amongst themselves.
Yeah, I think we give the saying next play, now what mentality. So we kind of, have to have a short memory with a lot of things if we do make a mistake and learn from them and then quickly move on to the next play and be ready to go because every play counts. I mean, games can turn around like that if you're not ready for it.
Yeah, no, I think, like you said, I think numerous times and all the coaches have talked about just they just seem to kind of rally around each other and they want what's best for each other. And I think when you have a team that's playing like that, then, great things can happen. And the other thing that is important is health. Didn't hear anything or nobody said that anybody's not healthy. So I'm assuming we got the full roster available against St. Thomas.
Yep, everybody's in good health and in good shape, a little bit tired, but we're ready to go, and that's our ultimate game plan for this whole season is to stay healthy.
No, 100%. We need every weapon we got. Well, Coach, thanks for stepping in this week. Appreciate you being here to fill in on the Shield for Coach Holcomb. We really appreciate it. One more time, just if you want to help us out with any sort of sponsorship, please send us an email. We'd love to talk to you. Love to represent your business here in Rochester, or hit us up on the Forgiving as well. But once again, want to thank Assistant Coach Nick Hagen. My name is Rob Cawthorn, the host of the Shield. Want to thank our main man, Bodie, behind the camera back there. We will see everybody Friday night, 7 o'clock kickoff, St. Thomas Academy. Go Spartans.